So, our first review of the day is going to be for Resident Evil Separate Ways. In this game, it is the DLC for the RE4 game, the remake. Here you're following the lead character, Ada Wong. Sage, let us know all about Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways.
Yeah. So in the original game, this was a mode that was added when the game was re-released a second time, like a year after on the PlayStation 2, after its first release on the GameCube. And in that edition of the game, it was a very simple mode, all kind of just reused assets, maybe a little bit of story. It was kind of a glorified advertisement for Resident Evil 5, to be honest. So it only had a little bit to it. It was like a fun little side bonus mode. With this remakes version of Separate Ways, I feel like Ada now has a Resident Evil game. They did a lot to expand the story here. There's lots of areas that are unique, and some of them are places like you see the gondola section in the trailer there. There's a few spots where they took areas from the original's main campaign that some people were complaining is like, oh, this part's missing, when the remake came out. And basically all of those spots pop up in this expansion here. So it really feels like this remake is now kind of fully complete. It's got all of the elements that may have been missing from the main campaign when compared to the original game. I think this is great. This is honestly longer than the Resident Evil 3 remake, just this $10 DLC. I don't think there's another DLC this year that has given me so much playtime out of it. I've beaten this 3 times already. The mechanics are super satisfying. She's got some really fun stuff like a grappling hook that lets you do melee moves from kind of far away. You can also pull shields out of enemies' hands. She's a little slightly faster, at least it felt like to me. Maybe that was just me reading into it there. But yeah, I think all around this is a really, really fantastic piece of content.
Okay. Hello there, Katney Whitney. Katney Whitney's in here. She usually plays also RE games as well. She usually plays the multiplayer in RE5. Really great streamer herself. If you guys want to check her out, give her a follow. She's doing great stuff with her streams every week. Where she dresses up as a different, Halloween character there. So that's pretty nice. Last time she dressed up as what's the character from Nightmare Before Christmas? The Pumpkin King.
Oh, Jack.
Yeah, dressed up as him. Yeah,
Jack
so that's pretty nice.
Skellington.
Jack Skellington, yeah. So very nice, great stuff over there. But yeah, so with this DLC, so it's because I was watching people play it, and it does seem very long. It does seem pretty like a good amount of content for a DLC. This is almost like you said, it's longer than the RE3 game, and is it also probably longer than the Miles Morales kind of DLC that got spun into its own game?
Honestly, no. I think the Miles Morales game is longer if you're doing all of if you're including side missions, collectibles, like kind of just the full scope of what the game has to offer. I'd wager if you really take your time, which I did on the first go around, if you really take your time, do all the merchant requests, really try to be thorough about your playthrough, I think you could squeeze probably between 7 and 8 hours out of this DLC. I think with the Miles game, maybe more like 10 if you're really doing everything.
Okay. And with this character Ada Wong, I know a lot of people are really harsh on the voice actress Lily Gao. About her performance in RE4. I heard she faced a little bit of harassment from people about her performance here. What do you think about her now that she has basically her own kind of game here to really flesh out the character more?
Yeah, I think this does a lot to address those criticisms. And I wasn't, so upset as to try and like annoy her personally. But I did think in the initial game, like she felt a little flat in comparison to the original, because the original, it's so, it's such a cheesy. I mean, it's essentially the, Japanese anime take on Escape from New York, right? So everybody's kind of hamming it up. All the voice actors are pretty cheesy in the original, and Ada has a lot of personality. She's very much that. She's got kind of that Batman Catwoman dynamic a little bit, where she's just constantly flirting with Leon. Um, but I think
I mean, wouldn't you
I think
too? I mean,
this.
he's pretty gorgeous.
What's that?
I'm saying,
Oh
wouldn't
yeah.
you too?
Well,
I
I
mean,
mean, fair enough.
he's pretty beautiful.
Fair enough. But I do think that this expansion explains a little bit better why she may have come across a little more subdued in the main campaign. First of all, comparing the original to the remake, just the base campaigns, Ada is in the remake a lot less. Like she just shows up a lot less in general. And so if you're only playing the base game, you just get way less of a sense for her. And I think that was maybe part of the issue for some people. You just don't spend a lot of time with her. And of course, the reason for that being that they were going to do this expansion and flesh it out so much. And I think, in the original Ada, she's got that thing where she's got like, oh, maybe she's having a change of heart a little bit, maybe not. Is she totally a bad guy or not? Again, very Catwoman. In the original, it's kind of just because she's got the hots for Leon. It doesn't seem like there's a whole lot else to it. Whereas I think in this expansion, in this remake, Separate Ways, there's a lot more of a sense of her actually being kind of like, oh man, the people I work for killed like millions of people, and I'm like having conflicting feelings about it, and I'm afraid of my boss, and so I don't want to let on that I care about Leon, because this guy is a psycho and he will instantly use it against me if I, you know, give him any, uh, you know, awareness that I care about this person. And so I think when you play her expansion and you see everything from her perspective, I think there is a little more emotion in her performance. And I think you can tell that when in the moments when she interacts with Leon, she's intentionally pulling back and kind of trying not to express herself on purpose, to try to kind of avoid getting Leon tangled up in what she has going on, which is her own other entire thing. And I think another great element too is that, and it just speaks, I think, Luis, out of all the characters in this remake, I think got the biggest upgrade. But his guilt over helping Umbrella first and then this cult, and kind of trying to help Ashley and Leon to make up for what he'd done. I think that's what gets to Ada a little bit more than just thinking Leon is pretty, right? It's she clearly she has some admiration for Luis trying to fix his mistakes. And I think her change of heart a little bit as the game goes on, it comes from that more than from, oh, let's play this like kind of, good guy spy, female bad guy spy kind of trope.
Mm, okay. Any negatives?
Honestly, I no. I think this is like, as far as DLC goes, this is the best DLC this year, in my opinion, so far. I think there's so much here, and it's $10, and I felt like I got more than I was expecting out of it. All the returning pieces that were missed out on the main game, some extra new stuff that wasn't in any version before at all. uh yeah, it improved her character. I think that this is the most I think Ada's ever actually been like personally likable. Yeah, I got no complaints.
Okay. So what will be your rating for it?
As a DLC and at the price point of $10, I would give it a This Is Cinema, or the video game equivalent to that. Now if this was a $60 release like Resident Evil 3, maybe I would give it a lower score. But just considering the price and how much you're getting for the price, yeah, I don't think you could spend $10 and get this much game anywhere else, unless you're looking at something that's old and on sale. But that's different.
Yeah. So tune in for Resident Evil 4 Separate Ways. All right. We're gonna do MK1 next. Let me go get Drew here for a second. Um, hold on, let me go get him. Uh, he's going to come in, give his thoughts on it. He's a big fighting game player, I know. And that will be our final video game review. Then we'll move on to the show, where Spud and MJ can come in, help me out with Castlevania. Castlevania Turn. I'm a big fan of the first Castlevania series. I like that a lot. I thought that was really good. So when they announced the trailer for this new series, I was very excited for it. So yeah.
Yeah, I loved the 4 seasons that they did of the initial series. I was the surprised when they put this Nocturne uh, trailer out at first. The big surprise for me was that they skipped over Simon, which I was kind of surprised by. I thought the whole point of doing Trevor and kind of adapting Castlevania 3 first was based on wanting to do it all in chronological order, but then we leapfrogged over Simon to Richter. So I think that was an interesting choice.
Mm, okay. Yeah. Do any of the Castlevania games ever come into like modern day at all? Or
The video game, there's one that I can think of that does, and that was part of so they did like kind of a reboot in, I want to say the first one came out in like 2009, 2010. It was called Castlevania Lords of Shadow, and it was kind of doing a bit of a God of War style gameplay, and it was its own kind of different universe, disconnected from the previous games. It was its own continuity, and so it played very differently with certain uh, characters and how they came to exist. Like in that version of the story, Dracula was a Belmont originally, and they play with a bunch of. Patrick Stewart is like the narrator of the game. There's a bunch of fun stuff, and then the second one of those, you play fully as Dracula, as like the main playable character, and it is like almost like slightly futuristic post-apocalypse or mid-apocalypse, and there's like sequences where you're fighting like mechs and robots and stuff as Dracula. It's a very weird game, but there's that one example. But that particular set of games was not quite as well received as a lot of the older ones. But yeah.
okay.